The dangers of making a complex world simple. To start off, can you imagine a world where people had to sugarcoat everything? Like, for example, if I made a video and then you kept telling me, oh, that video was so perfect, man, like that was very dope, you got almost no room for improvement, I would just be calling, that must be a lie, because there is definitely room for improvement. I'm barely just starting out 3 videos in, and if somebody would tell me that, then I would probably keep dishing out like monotonous voice samples to everybody, like, here you go. This is the latest edition of an AI voice recording type of sample. But anyway, I just kind of want to jump right into this topic real quick. If human evolution didn't make it obvious enough, humans are the most adaptable life forms on this planet. Yes, at least on this planet, even though there's alien sighting allegations and whatnot living rent-free inside people's prefrontal cortex. But of course, with everything that seems too good to be true, there is at least one glaring flaw to it all. Half of the time, aggression is rooted from ignorance. For example, just because someone of a different ethnic background cut you on the freeway, it doesn't mean that all people of that ethnic background are reckless on the highway. You're only teaching this belief as a tool for prevention to not meet this kind of situation again, and if you do, you already know what to expect because of that set belief, and because of that, you just know who to avoid. This process is called generalization, which is a general statement or concept obtained by inference from specific cases. So just like the example that I showed you. If you didn't get what I meant by the title of this video, then maybe you got an idea of where I'm going with this by now. Instead of putting in the effort to understand the world that is so complex, we tend to oversimplify potentially uncomfortable, threatening, biased sources of interactions, ideas, and concepts. Like before it even happened, you're already catching it as a threat. For example, you would live your entire life by thinking if this person is part of group A, then he or she must be racist. Or even worse, if so-and-so is not part of group Z, then all other groups must be bad people and will all go to hell. Therefore, I should only interact with people that are part of group Z and keep my life very simple, since that's all that I can understand. Why do you think we have leaders in the form of politicians, teachers, coaches, religious leaders? The reason why is because it is much more simple to rely on other people for answers to solve their own problems, rather than trying to figure out what the answer is within you. While this sounds fair and amazing, this comes with the cost of absorbing information based upon everyone else's experiences but yourself. For example, if someone named Edward told you not to fly to Florida in October because there will be hurricanes, will you go? Then you have someone named Rudolph who will tell you, October is a great time to go travel to Florida because it's not too hot out, will you go? Now imagine if Edward told Rudolph not to travel to Florida in October. Rudolph wouldn't even listen to Edward. He would say that he's full of Look, the point is that you gotta do your best to find your own answers despite what everyone tells you. You have to use your own filtration. Otherwise, you just gotta enjoy being in the backseat of everyone's car. Or plane, in this example, to go neatly with the whole flying to Florida example. Of course, this doesn't mean that you should block all sources of information that's coming your way. You're responsible to filter all that information and come up with a conclusion yourself, and with that, you just come up with your own answer. For example, if a teacher told you 100 divided by 5 is 20, you should probably confirm that yourself still and see how the work is done. If your sports coach tells you that you should play wide receiver because your buddy isn't as proficient as you are, then you should probably make your own assessment to see, who is actually better, and you stand by that. So if your buddy plays better, you should probably be like, no, this is the best decision for the team right now. Or if you know that you are better, then use your own judgment and stand your ground. And I feel like this way it builds trust with each other. If your religious leader says thou shalt not kill, then you should probably not test that out because there's going to be serious consequences, and you should use your best judgment and, think about what could happen. There's cops, there's detectives, there's a court of law, and most of all, you'll get that public shame. So you might get the slightest idea that maybe you should not do that. Now, if a political leader, for example, says all student loans will be forgiven, then never trust it. Seriously, it can't be real. I mean, I hope that this video doesn't age well so someone can come back down to this video in the future and be like, you said student loan forgiveness isn't possible, but here we are. So I could be like, yes, good on you, you're thinking for yourself, bravo, just absolutely. And if you think that I'm full of for carrying this perspective, then need I remind you of what tragic event happened in 1941 because to someone specific, that seemed to be the simple solution to solve all his problems? Nah, of course I don't need to remind you because it's all over the history books. You might be inclined and play things safe and keep yourself reserved, but just remember, safety checks are performed on planes consistently, routinely, and yet every year about 700 planes get retired. As the truth is, you can never be too sure about instances you have no control of, so you adapt and overcome. Replenish your aircraft and move forward. Never forget when COVID was at its peak, the very idea of mask mandates were very difficult to grasp. Here in the United States, that many refused to think about the complexity of the repercussions of not practicing safety from the virus, and many just led their lives the same way as if there was no pandemic going on, and it was just so that for them, that's how they made their daily life make sense. This way, their interaction with their family and friends would not change. Their commute to work wouldn't change. Shopping for groceries wouldn't change. Going out to eat as a leisure activity wouldn't change. Well, only that it did actually all change, as most businesses updated their policies to protect their employees, which simultaneously helped and hurt their business. It helped the business by bringing in customers that were concerned about their safety, but it also hurt their business by losing customers that refused to follow their updated policies regarding the mask mandates. The complex world, forced to be made simple, has its consequences, and it's often rooted by ignorance. Here, let me tell you something else. When a child learns that a car is an object that has 4 wheels and can move forward and backward, a child will go to Target and see a bunch of people pushing cars down the deli aisle, but little does that child know that those cars that people are pushing are actually shopping carts, and they're not the same as cars in the parking lot. A well-known psychologist by the name of Jean Piaget termed this a schema, which is basically a blueprint that we have to understand even the slightest of similarities in various situations. Now, there are a few truths to how a schema works. 1. Schema affects what we focus on. Usually we notice the details that we're already familiar with from past experiences. 2. Schemas make people learn quickly about situations due to their past experiences, so in a way it works like a shortcut for them. 3. Schemas help make the world more simple by bringing in new information and changing it into relatable, pre-existing understandings of the already acquired information. 4. Schemas can usually have people tamper with new information to a degree where it loses its uniqueness, just to fit with their pre-existing knowledge. 5. Schemas can be very difficult to change. Even when people meet hard evidence, they can be in denial and refuse to adapt to new information. And if you said, well, sluggish, that just sounds like prejudice. Well, you're absolutely correct, and sadly, it's very common. If you think the world is the same as it was 20 years ago, you're straight up delusional. We've endured a pandemic, committed through various political shifts, experienced drastic weather conditions, witnessed incredible growth in advanced technology and transportation and various recreational activities, and most of all, we've endured the persistence of people trying to make a complex world simple, regardless of the dangers it may bring. Well, don't ignore the details. You might just run into a Karen or two along the way. To rob yourself of the full picture in uncomfortable situations is to take away the privilege of growth and the seed of knowledge this world has lots to offer. So why actively sabotage yourself? Even worse, why sabotage others in wanting to see the world for themselves? After all, there is no price far greater than a self-inflicted blind eye. Now I can finally take this tie off. And other than that, as usual, if you enjoy my content, be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and hit the bell button to be informed of future content. And I'll see you on the next one.